Summer can come with a lot of pressure and expectation. 12-step skincare routines and luxury vacations. I've been thinking about the summers I had as a kid. Making movies with my friends, spending an entire day reading a book, late night ice cream runs, endless time outside creating and exploring. That's the summer I want to have. I want my summer to feel like that. I'm calling this my Fearless Summer because I think that album perfectly captures my summer nostalgia. I don't think you ever grow too old to have a coming-of-age summer, and I want to remember how hopeful and optimistic I was when I was young. Honestly, summer is the season I look forward to the least, but I started remembering all the things that album makes me think of. Late night ice cream runs, sleeping with the windows open, fresh fruit and farmers markets, marathons of your favorite sleepover movies, jumping in a lake, reading outside, taking pictures of everything on a camera and printing them out for a scrapbook. Summer as a kid meant freedom and adventure, and even though I don't get a 3-month vacation anymore, I want to make the most of this summer, to not worry so much about the big things, but to remember all of summer's simple pleasures. So this is my coming-of-age summer.
Don't you? No way. Well, you sound like an ad for breakfast cereal. Well, if we learn more about what's happening to us, we might be able to control it enough to go to the party.
Ooh, that lemonade is actually really good. It tastes like the inside of a strawberry glacé pie, and you can just drink it. So I thought I would do a little summer thrift haul. I made the New Year's resolution not to buy any new clothes, so I did a little thrifting, a little shopping on Etsy, some knitting to collect some fun pieces for summer. I don't really have a specific aesthetic that I'm going for. I feel like these pieces really capture my 17 different personalities, so I thought I would maybe style them a little bit, show how I would wear them. One of my favorite things to do when I was younger was to put together outfits and feel like different characters, so I thought I would do a little try-on styling of my new summer clothes. Well, old new summer clothes. So these are my pieces. I got this bubblegum pink knit top from Goodwill. It was like $2.99. This is how I would wear it for like a nice garden party or an evening dinner party in the summer. This would be my outfit. I got this cherry blouse on Depop. It also has a fun little keyhole tie back. And I would wear it to go cherry picking, obviously. Maybe like this, if I was feeling super Pinterest, very trendy. This was my big thrift find. I love a fun statement jacket. This is, you know, for those maybe cooler summer nights. The inspo for this was Anne Hathaway in Brokeback Mountain. This is what I would wear to go bull riding, which of course I do every summer here in Massachusetts. Giddy up, cowboy. Okay. Saw this at the thrift shop and it immediately made me think of all those Fisherman's Daughter pictures I've been saving on Pinterest. This is what I would wear at the end of August. You know, those cool August nights when you want to imagine that you live off the coast of Maine, keep watching a lighthouse. Read a lot of poetry. You know. This blouse I did actually buy. I got this from Motel Rocks. This is what I would wear if I was shopping at a farmer's market in Italy. Maybe buying some fresh tomato. Maybe a little mozzarella, a little basil when you're a tomato girl. I thrifted this dress. It's a Brandy Melville dress. Would never support the actual store, but I thought from the thrift shop it would be okay. I really like the print, very sweet, very comfortable. Could be for blueberry picking, very easy, don't even need to style it really. I found this blue crop sweater. This is what I imagine wearing maybe out to brunch on Nantucket, you know. This t-shirt I found on Etsy and it just gave me such early 2000s nostalgic vibes. This is what I would wear if I was like in aquamarine and I needed to help a mermaid. As a lifeguard. This is like a little nightgown beach cover-up I found at Goodwill. I love this type of fabric. I think it's called pointel. Perfect thing for when you're on the beach and then you need to go get a cone of ice cream and you want to be wearing clothes. Everybody knows how beach cover-up works. Not a lot to say. Very cute, very summery, very comfortable, very soft. Great find. This is a vintage nightgown I found. I love the little butterfly detail. This is what I would wear to summer camp in the 60s. Like when the Beatles were #1 on the charts. This is what I would be sleeping in. Very nice, very breathable, very light for summer. This is just a classic pair of blue denim shorts. Found them at Goodwill. They are Abercrombie though. They were like $5.99. Great deal. I actually knit this sweater to look like one of those Ralph Lauren American flag sweaters. Also goes great with the blue denim shorts. This is like my Cape Cod summer Bobby Kennedy vibes. You know what I'm saying? And then I found these adorable socks on Etsy, and that is my thrift haul. So I decided to do a summer reading challenge this year because I was thinking about how one of my favorite things as a kid was to go to the library and get the reading challenges. I just love like filling out a chart. And I love a challenge and I love categories and themes and things. So I came up with 10 themes and I picked books for each of them and I thought I would share. I'm really excited about this because I feel like sometimes my reading lists get a little bit repetitive and I feel like these categories really push me to find like really good books to include. I also feel like when I was younger I was a little bit more like, I had a little bit more thirst for knowledge. I was a little bit more curious, and now that I'm not in school, the grind of adulthood kind of burns you out more, and I want to reignite that like passion and like excitement. I want to find ways to continue to like expand my world, you know. I want to give myself like kind of a syllabus each season to really continue to learn and know more about the world. So for Reread a childhood favorite. This is a 90s book I read as a teenager. What I remember about it is that it is set in this kind of dystopia where the government is experimenting. They are part of like a living history museum, basically, that the general public can come and see, set during pre-modern times. In my head, it's the colonial era, but I don't know if that's true. And the kids living in the museum don't know that they're in a museum. They think that that's what life is like. The girl, the main character, needs to escape to get medicine for her mom. And so it's revealed to her that she lives in a museum. And then she has to go on this adventure and get the medicine for her mom and figure out how to navigate modern times. I just remember her really struggling to use a payphone, which now is like an antiquated thing. Yeah, I just remember loving this book. I remember it being like such a thrilling, exciting adventure. I really hope it holds up. I've been wanting to reread it for a long time because it's just one of those things that I think about every once in a while. And I'm like, man, running out of time, that was such a good book. And I want to reread it. Great adventure for summer. So for Read a Booker Prize winner, I picked Possession. The Booker Prize is a prestigious literary award, I think, for fiction written in the English language published in the UK or Ireland. And I wanted to include this category to encourage myself to read a more, serious, more academic, critically acclaimed novel. I still ended up picking the least serious book I could find because I always want to read the real adult books, and then I read the backs and they just sound so sad and so depressing. But this one sounded fun. This was the most fun Booker Prize winner, so I guess it's still a bit of cheating, but. So Possession is a novel about two researchers who are trying to investigate a unknown love story between two poets. And it's set in the present day and in the Victorian era. It has words in the synopsis like metafiction, postmodern. So it's a book I expect to feel really smart while reading. And it does mix in letters and diaries and poetry, and that seemed really cool, so I think this would be perfect. Read a book set where you'd like to vacation to. I picked Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Book Lovers is set in a small fictional town in North Carolina. I've always wanted to do a North Carolina summer vacation. My cousins used to always go to Outer Banks in the summer, also popular TV show. Also, I think where they filmed The Summer I Turned Pretty, so to me it's just like the epitome of like East Coast beach town summer vibes. It just seems like them perfect romantic storybook setting. I've only read one Emily Henry book. I've read Funny Story, which I enjoyed. I wasn't obsessed with it. I think Book Lovers is one of her more popular ones. I'm really excited about it. Expect it to be very sweet, very heartwarming, very cute. And I'm hoping for some interesting characters. I like when characters are a little bit more complicated in this genre of romance novel. For Read a Bestseller from your birth year, so I was born in 1996. Some of the bestsellers from that year are Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer, which I've already read, and Game of Thrones, which I will probably never read. But one of the ones was The Notebook, which I've never read. I don't think I've ever read a Nicholas Sparks book. I've seen many of his movies. I've seen The Notebook many times. The Notebook's not one of my favorites. I really love The Last Song. That to me, that's the best. I'm a Last Song stan. So I'm just really curious to read his work since I've seen so many adaptations of it. And I'm curious to see why he is such a titan in this genre, in the melodramatic romance genre, why he's been so popular for so long. I'm a little bit skeptical because he is a man, but men can write good romances. I think that is possible. So maybe I'll like this. I think it's also set in North Carolina. Classic summer romance. For Read a Memoir, I picked An Unfinished Love Story, A Personal History of the 1960s by Doris Kearns Goodwin. She's one of my favorite authors, and I think I've only read one of her books. I just love her writing style, and it's always stuck with me, and I've been wanting to read this book for a while. It's kind of a mix of memoir, biography, and history, a personal look at the 1960s. I'm very interested in the 1960s. I think that's a very interesting historical time period, and yeah, she and her husband just kind of dug through their diaries and letters and memorabilia and realized they kind of had this time capsule of the 1960s and used their own lives to kind of look at all the social change and racial justice and environmental justice movements that were happening in that era. That's exactly the kind of history book I love to read. I love that personal angle. It's the kind of book I would love to write someday. So I'm really excited about this one. It'll definitely make me want to never get rid of anything and write a lot of letters and diaries and leave a paper trail of my own fascinating life. Read a book set in a lake house. For this, I picked Still House Lake. I wanted to read like a creepy thriller lake house book. Hopefully not too creepy though. I do have a very low tolerance. This is about like a nice Midwestern wife from a good family who finds out that her husband has been doing some very bad crimes. So she moves her children to a lake house as kind of a refuge, and when a body shows up on shore and she starts getting threatening letters, she's kind of called upon to fight evil and protect her family. I'm hoping it's really thrilling, really suspenseful, tons of plot twists. I want to just get totally sucked in and like read this at a lake house and just have it be one of those books that you just spend all day reading because you can't put down. I really just looked up lake house books on Goodreads and picked the highest reviewed one, which sometimes disappoints me, but I'm still writing for you, Goodreads. Read a book with food on the cover. Again, I just looked at lists of books with food on the cover, and this one really spoke to me. The Berry Pickers, something about the blueberries, are really just quite enticing. I do judge a book by its cover, always. I think the setup is that an Indigenous girl goes missing while blueberry picking with her family in Maine, and then follows this kind of coming-of-age story of a girl growing up in 1960s in Maine whose family is shrouded in a lot of mystery, and she starts kind of digging into that. I imagine my guess would be that she is the missing girl, but I will have to read to find out. It covers a lot of topics I honestly don't know a lot about, and then MIW is not something I know a lot about. This just felt like an important story to include on my summer reading list, and an important topic to learn more about. Read the book of a movie you love. So for this, I picked To All the Boys I Loved Before, because I love that movie. It is so charming, so delightful, so cozy. I have not read any of Jenny Han's books. This book has like over 1 million ratings on Goodreads. So it must have been massive. I think I'm just like a little bit too old. It wasn't quite popular when people my age were reading books like this. It seems to be just like an all-time teen classic, and I love that genre. I did just read Crazy Rich Asians, and it reminded me of the great universal truth that the book is always better than the movie. And I love that movie, but the book was so much better. So I'm really hoping I love this even more than the movie because I love the movie so much. So for read a book translated from another language, I picked My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. I have read one other Elena Ferrante book, whoever she may be, and I honestly didn't love the writing style. I found it just really hard to get into and like kind of hard to follow, but this book comes highly recommended to me, so I have been meaning to read it, and it deals with some of my favorite themes in literature, female friendship, and issues of social class. So I'm really excited to read it. It's set in Naples in the 1950s. I also definitely could have picked this for a book set where I would like to vacation to, so I'd love to vacation in Naples. Perfect read for summer, I hope. And then for read a debut novel, as in a debut novel of a specific author, if that wasn't clear. I picked The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I have read The Song of Solomon in high school. It was definitely my favorite book I read in high school, and one of my favorite books of all time. So I have been meaning to read the rest of her work. This is about a young girl growing up during the Great Depression in Ohio. It deals with a lot of issues of race and self-esteem, and is just a very important coming-of-age story about Black girlhood, and she's just a brilliant genius writer, so I'm really looking forward to engaging with this text. And my foot is so asleep. Oh my god! And to accompany my summer reading challenge, I got myself a summer reading journal. I have been trying to bullet journal and write my reviews and thoughts on the books and movies I'm watching. But it takes me so long to draw the page that by the time I've drawn the page, I don't really have the time or energy to write a review. So I decided I would just get myself a journal and let go of the bullet journaling dream for now. I really liked this one. There's different like prompts section to do a summary, write some favorite quotes, if you'd read it again or recommend it again. It also has a section for first impressions, final thoughts, key takeaways, and then a whole page of extra notes. I do log things on Goodreads and Letterboxd, but I wanted a format where I'm not writing with the fact that other people might read it in mind, and just like something purely just pen to paper, like not taking into account like somebody else might read this, you know? And I think if I like it and I end up using it, I'm gonna get one for movies as well, because I want a record of every thought I've ever had. Because they're all interesting. Reading journal, reading challenge, it's summer.